QueerFM Van 101.9 on CITR Radio, Canada's longest running queer radio program. How'd you do? Thanks so much for joining us. And check us out on the socials, of course, at QueerFM Van and Spotify. We've got playlists coming out the yin yang here of 2S LGBTQIA plus musical peeps for you to enjoy. It is interview time here on the show with DJ Denise Fraser and myself, Barb Snelgrove. And our next guest is across the pond, as we like to say, Marcus Megastar. Following a coma in 2014, a battle with substance abuse, notably comes on the gay scene, and walking out of a master's degree in the third year of university, Marcus decided to stop ignoring their true self, who is a 6-year-old, dreamt of growing up and being like the idols on their bedroom wall. And thus they set out on the road to megastardom. Marcus did a 3-week run at Edinburgh Festival with their show Live and Controversial and joined QueerFM to talk about their latest releases, including their upcoming new release, Rollerblades, that'll be coming out on International LGBTQ plus Pride Day on the 28th of June. We're going to be giving you a sneak preview here today on QueerFM for all the lucky folks. And you can catch up with the artist on all the socials at Marcus Megastar. Please welcome to QueerFM today, Marcus Megastar. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me. It is such an honour, and I think you guys are amazing. So thank you so much from all the way across the Atlantic.
That's right.
Hi there, Marcus. How are you? Thank you so much. It's such a great honour to speak with.
Hi, Denise. I mean, you are so cool. I've been looking at all your videos, and you're so passionate about music like we all are. And it's such an honour to be talking to you. So, hello.
Hello, and thank you again. Please tell us about how you landed on your stage name, Marcus Megastar.
Oh, okay. It's nice and humble, isn't it? I've got to say, I changed my name before, and I changed it to Marcus Wilde. And I went along with Marcus Wilde, and I didn't really get very far. And I said to a dear friend, and she'd had a bit of success in music, and she was kind of a music, she's kind of a music mentor. I said, I really want to change my name to Marcus Megastar. I mean, it's so attention-grabbing, and it was, I took a lot of guts to do it, and I just did it, because I'd done releases, I wasn't really getting anywhere, and the minute I changed it to Marcus Megastar, it started to roll. I was looked up by Madonna's people, I was getting further up the music food chain, so it was the best thing I ever did.
Who'd have thunk, eh?
Yeah.
But I think the power of names the power of your stage name is so important. And if you look at people like Freddie Mercury, he was born Farouk Bulsar, Lady Gaga, Stephanie Germanotta, Billy Ocean, his first name was Leslie, Drake, his first name's Aubrey. You've got to have a look at me commanding stage name. There's so much noise out there. You're fighting to be played. When 100,000 songs are released today, you're fighting. So I think having a strong name, commanding name, is everything right now. So
yeah, absolutely. In reading your bio when you were serious, it's a 6-year-old who dreamt of growing up and being like the idols on their bedroom wall. So who are those idols? Who do you have up on your bedroom wall?
Well, I mean, number one idol was Madonna, and I actually touched her leg once. I used to love the Spice Girls. And I met Jerry Halliwell, Ginger Spice, and she gave me a kiss, and we discussed Shirley Bassey, and she impersonated her on a table. It's funny. I used to love Frankie Goes to Hollywood because they were so controversial, and they were, and I really looked up to them. And I actually ended up meeting Holly. He gave me advice, and he gave me tips. It's funny how as a child, these people have sort of come full circle in your life, kind of thing, and lots of the 80s stars, Stock Aitken and Waterman stars. I don't know if you had Stock Aitken and Waterman over there. Did you have people like Rick Astley, people like that?
Oh, hell yeah. Rick Ross.
You had all of that. With all of those chart stars from the 80s, they were all on my wall, and I was obsessed with the covers. I was obsessed with the clothing. And, that's all I could envisage myself doing. So,
well, it was a real British renaissance in music again. At that time, there were so many pop stars that were coming out of the UK.
No, there really was. We were really sort of at the forefront. And the style of the music actually was quite monotonous, wasn't it? And the vocal range was quite low. But somehow they made it so catchy. And I think it was so much about the style and the dress and how it was all packaged together.
Yeah. Yeah, I was, if I had a photograph of my face when I'm looking down at my phone when Holly Johnson started following me on Instagram. And I was just like, oh my God, Holly Johnson.
He's the most loveliest man. Do drop him a line. He will reply. He's the most loveliest man. I cannot tell you. And such a huge inspiration. And so humble. He's had 4 number ones. He's probably the most humble person I've ever met.
Yeah. So what decided, how did you get on the road to music? Like, what made you want to get into it? Were you musically inclined as a kid? Did you fall into it?
Oh, totally. I mean, we were really quite poor growing up. I had, there wasn't much money going around, and I had a brother and a sister, and, everything was really tight. But I had a friend, and they were very rich, and they lived in a big mansion. And I used to go around there, and they'd have a playroom, and they'd have all keyboards and spotlights, and I would write in there, and I would write songs, and we would play on the keyboards and have the spotlights on, and I was sort of, I was kind of exposed to all of that, really. And then they went off to private school, and then I was back to on my own again.
But,
But, growing up, I had to sort of fight, to pay for everything. And, but sort of once I kind of got established and got my own home, I'd done jobs and I just wasn't happy and I wasn't being the authentic self. And I think it was just halfway through a degree, I was just so unhappy. And then I just slipped into substance abuse because I was just so unhappy, self-medicating. Mm-hmm. And then I ended up, my life sort of spiraled out of control. I ended up in a 10-day coma and nearly died. And after that, rebuilding myself, I thought, God, I've just got to be the person who I want to be. It's just trying to be someone you don't want to be is making you so unhappy. You're going to have to just do it and bite the bullet. And I started going on songwriting courses, and I had guitar lessons. I bought a guitar, and I went on retreats, and I worked with people that had mega hits. And they kept telling me, you can do it, you can do it. And because I was surrounded with these people that were so inspiring and telling me I could do it, that I started to believe in myself. But I had to sort of go through all of that sort of garbage to get there. So
yeah, music saved your life. It sounds like
absolutely, wow. Absolutely.
Such a therapy. So was the guitar the instrument that you gravitated to first to start creating your
absolutely. I mean, I think it was about a month after the coma, my head was just full of just words and ideas, and I just had to write them down. It was just an overload. And I came up with so many song titles and so many song tunes. I thought, I've got to do something with this. And I got the guitar, and I found a guitar tutor, and then I found a songwriting day course, and I just went, and from there, it was full steam ahead, and I got another job, and and I used the money from the job, to pay for the music things and the retreats, and then that led to my first single, and it sort of rolled there, rolled along. So, but it was just hitting the rock bottom. And as I said, being in a coma, being fed yogurt, after sort of losing everything, and also, the shame of it all as well, and you're like, okay, you're going to have to just fix yourself up, Marcus, so, that's where it all stems from.
Curious about that first guitar. Do you still have the guitar you started your career with?
Do you know what? My first guitar I bought is a Westfield, and that guitar went all the way to Edinburgh Festival, and I played it over 16 shows. So I'm a great believer in, so many people have lots of mental health problems, or they're not happy, And music is just one therapy that will totally enrich you. When you don't need alcohol, you don't need drugs. Just singing and playing music is, is so enriching for the soul. So I'm always advocating that. And yes, my Westfield guitar, that how many years ago was it now? 2015. So 9 years ago. I pick it up still every day, and it's wonderful. At a festival. So yes, and actually a guitar shop told me that you should buy one guitar and that should grow with you, and this guitar really has grown with me. So
yeah, 100%. I have at one point I think I had like 6 of them. And, it gets a little tight in a small apartment way back in the day. But I still have the one I got as a teenager, which was the Gibson Hummingbird Custom. And it still has the best sound. It's just so melodic.
And they're like, a lot of people have dogs. This is an emotional support tool, is it not, Barbara?
Absolutely. Absolutely, and in your case, you're a prime example of music. Saving your soul, saving your life, and congratulations on making it through to the other side and being your authentic self, and see how you've blossomed since then, right?
Absolutely, but the most important thing I think people need to take away from this is just how enriching, having a guitar or music is, as opposed to, being unhappy and, going caning it, every weekend and, spending all your money and going downhill. I just cannot advocate just getting, an instrument enough, really. It really is a wonderful thing to have, isn't it, Bob?
Yeah, and, I guess in terms of music, because music, the industry, don't know the timeline here, but, the industry can be awfully suggestive in terms of drugs. So if you're trying to stay on the up and up and stay clean, that could be, I guess, a bit difficult in this industry. It does. But I have to say, I think from going out and doing the gigs at Edinburgh Festival, I think people today that really have these contracts and they really, they've got audiences, but they cannot afford to go out and take drugs and compromise the show and get sued. I think actually they've got to be quite sensible. I think those days have kind of changed now. Yeah.
With the advent of social media and everybody with cameras and everyone being able to tweet how disappointed they are, and and people with a sue happy culture. I think people are a lot better behaved these days.
Yeah, that's for sure. Now you mentioned the Edinburgh Festival, and you were there for a 3-week run with your show Live and Controversial. I guess for our listeners, both locally and internationally, if someone was to go to see a Marcus Megastar show, what can they expect?
Well, okay, it's a sort of a visual feast. It's there's lots of videos and immersive screens, and Marcus Megastar comes out, and he's kind of like me and people that I have met and my ideas, and just on steroids. So I come out in this character, and he steps out of a limo on the screen, and it's all very paparazzi and cameras, and you kind of get taken into his world. So then it starts off with a real banger called Controversial, and we just go on this journey with Marcus Megastar. And in between the songs, he tells jokes, about his life of excess and, in glamour. And, it's a real scream. And the kids go wild for it because it's circuit party dance music. So they're up raving. Sometimes they even get on the stage with me and dancing. It's a real experience. And I was, really thrilled with the, feedback I got from the show.
What do you like most, creating the music or performing live?
I do not enjoy sitting in front of a computer on Logic. I hate it. So I have someone that does that for me called Griffin, and he's in San Francisco. Pumpkin Spice is incredible. and I leave it for him. I write the song on the guitar, and then I give it to Griffin, and he makes it sound like you're at a circuit party. And I give it to him, and that is not my thing. I much prefer actually being on the stage, I have to say. That is much more me, and writing, coming up with the ideas. I'm not really someone that likes all the tech.
Yeah, that can be, because I guess that draws, reminds me of when we were doing the shows during COVID. And of course, for people who love to perform live, to produce music, and especially in music and in the performing arts, for that matter, you need the audience. You don't have to have the audience, but you kind of need the audience. And so we were asking for a while there. We were always asking the musical guests that we had on, how did you last through the pandemic and the lockdown portion of it? And some people were like, well, I just stepped away from music, and other people mentioned that they wanted to learn the producing side and how to craft the music and on the computer. So, how were you during COVID then, especially if you couldn't perform live?
I think I actually used the time, and I actually wrote the foundation of many songs, and it was actually the start of sort of putting sort of this show, together. And I did a show. I did the Wandsworth Arts Fringe. It was the first time I did it. I've done it for 3 years since. And I did a filmed show from the famous Clapham Grand, and it was a short sort of show, and that was the kind of the start of the live and controversial. It was kind of the stepping stone. So I filmed at this wonderful famous theatre, and it was wonderful production, and that played digitally in 2020 during COVID. And amazingly, because the theatres didn't have anyone going to them, I actually was able to secure the filming rights at this amazing theatre, and I don't think I would have got the theatre rights or the price that I was given for filming had there not been COVID and everyone was desperate for money.
Yeah.
So I think it worked out very well for me, So.
Oh yeah, that pandemic! Wow, it's so good to hear about your journey during the pandemic. Also creating your own work and just making something happen, because everybody had to be so creative then. Now, were you also following any artists that you really enjoyed during the pandemic that were also doing some similar things to what you were doing?
Well, I think because of all the retreats that I've done and networking that I've done, I've got lots of songwriter friends and artist friends, and in fact, even now, they're so supportive, and we support one another. I mean, if someone's got a project, or someone's got a release, or someone's got a question, we sort of always, we give them encouragement, we give them help, or advice if we can. So I'm lucky enough that I've got a lovely sort of support group, because songwriting and music is so desperately hard. It's so desperately hard, and it's so expensive. You don't really get paid very well, So I think everyone realises that with another musician and performer. So we all kind of look after one another. It's a lovely little community, actually, I have to say.
Well, it's a big one for you, because it's you've got international. Tell us how you ended up in a collaboration with someone in San Francisco.
Oh, Griffin. Well, I just liked his work. I mean, I'd heard his work on SoundCloud and saw he was doing lots of the circuit parties over in America. These DJs, they go from party to party with all the, doing the circuit parties. And I was listening to some of his music, and I said to a friend, I had this song, I think it was controversial at the time, and I liked it, but it didn't have the real beat that I wanted, and I felt the song really needed for it to be a success and what I was looking for. So just by talking it out and chatting to her as a soundboard, she said, go to him and have him mix it. And I just went out, I found the money, and he remixed it, and I was so thrilled with it after it had been remixed. And she said, get him to do everything, and that's kind of how that's kind of how the journey worked. And by producing that work, I was asked, to play on the big stage for Wandsworth Fringe Festival. I won an honorarium award. Then we won an arts grant, and then that got me enough money to build the show for Edinburgh Festival. So that's kind of how it all went.
Yeah, God bless those grants. Yeah,
absolutely. I always think I'd never get something like that, but they're obviously happy, and thrilled with what we were doing, and we got it. So everyone out there that sort of sees these applications for grants, just do it. Find out what they need. There'll be tick boxes. Have a surgery with them, over Zoom. Find out what boxes you need to be hitting and go and get that grant and make it happen.
So what are your, and those are wise words for all our, young musicians that are listening in today. What are your proudest achievements in music?
My proudest achievements? There's lots that I'm really, really proud of. I think even just being here today, I'm proud just, speaking with both of you, and I'm in Vancouver. I think you have to appreciate the little wins in music. You may get a number one, you may never get in the charts, but I think you need to appreciate every little win that you have. And, there's so many achievements, but I think obviously the Edinburgh Fringe run, phenomenal to do something like that. Mm-hmm. I think my first ever release, where I literally owned up to, being, a chem addict, and I put that into music, and I played a prosthetic demon, that I hold very close to my heart. Working with people like Michael Garvin, who had, hits such as Never Give Up on a Good Thing by George Benson. I think that's an accolade. I worked with Pam Shane, Genie in a Bottle, Christina Aguilera.
Yeah.
Who wrote a song called Skeletons that's never been released, maybe one day. There's lots. There's my music video I did for climate change, where I was all in prosthetics, running around the city of London. I'm very proud of that. Lots. And my new song, Rollerblades, I'm so proud of that. And so appreciate the little wins as well as the big wins. So.
Yeah, totally. And I guess, in introducing that into the conversation, congratulations on your latest releases and the upcoming Rollerblades. For those of you who are just tuning in, this is QueerFM Vancouver, and we're speaking across the pond to Marcus Megastar in the UK.
Hello all. I'm so happy to be here. And thank you very much to my co-writers for Rollerblades. The thing is, a lot of this work that you see, yes, you think Marcus Megastar, but it's a team. It's a prosthetic makeup artist. It's people like Griffin, the producer. On Rollerblades, it's my two wonderful songwriters. I came up with the idea, but it was still working with uber-talented people that had made this all come together. So many thanks for that. It isn't just me. It is, they say dreamwork makes...
teamwork makes the dream work.
Yeah. That's the one.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, we're not, we've got the pins and needles going here. So we're going to give you courtesy of Marcus, and thank you very much for sharing your new work with us. It doesn't come out until the 28th of June, but we're going to give you a bit of a sneak preview here on Queer FM for all of our lucky listeners. Marcus, we want to thank you so much for joining us today on Queer FM.
It's been such a pleasure and an honour talking to you both. And guys, the song's out on the 28th of June, but if you love it, you can pre-save it and you can pre-buy it now and help us get into the charts. So I hope you love it as much as we do.
Wise words. And do always support queer music artists wherever you may be. So without further ado, this is Marcus Megastar's new release coming up on June 28th, Rollerblades, happening now on Queer FM 101.9, the ITR radio.
get enough. Feels like we're rising from the dust. Everything started with a crush. You skated right into my heart. Together we can power uphill, riding on the crest of a hill. Our love is like rollerblades, and we're moving at the speed of sound. Our love is like rollerblades, spinning us round and around and round and round. And I just can't catch my breath. It's like rollerblades, whoa. Like rollerblades, whoa. Like rollerblades, whoa. It's such a rush, under the power of your touch. The look in your eyes still makes me blush. You skated right into my heart. Together we can power uphill, riding on the crest of a thrill. Our love is like rollerblades, and we're moving at the speed of sound. Our love is like rollerblades, spinning us round and around and round and round. And I just can't catch my breath. It's like rollerblades, whoa. Like rollerblades, whoa. Like rollerblades, whoa. There's gonna be stumbles and falls, scratches and bruises and hitting the walls. But if we pick ourselves up and hold tight, then I know it's gonna be alright. Our love is like rollerblades, and we're moving at the speed of sound. Our love is like rollerblades, spinning us round and around and round and round. And I just can't catch my breath. It's like rollerblades, whoa. Like rollerblades, whoa. Like rollerblades, whoa. Hi, this is Marcus Megastar, all the way over in London, United Kingdom, and you're listening to QueerFM 101.9 FM on CITR Radio.
In the context of Vancouver's opioid crisis, CITR would like to take a moment to share some harm reduction strategies.
Try not to do drugs alone. When going out, let friends know what drugs you're taking and make sure someone has a naloxone kit. If you're able to, get your drugs tested before taking them.
Avoid mixing opioids with alcohol or stimulants. Remember that opioids can include painkillers prescribed by a doctor, and it's possible for any drugs to be contaminated with opioids.
Learn the signs of opioid overdose, which include, but are not limited to, unresponsiveness or unconsciousness, inability to speak, breathing that is slow, erratic, or has stopped completely, heartbeat that is slow, erratic, or has stopped completely, skin tone that has turned blue or gray, choking or gurgling sounds.
If you think someone is overdosing, call 911 immediately. Start rescue breathing and administer naloxone if you have it. You cannot get in trouble for being on drugs, so always call 911 in an emergency.
For more information about naloxone kits and training, visit towardtheheart.com.
Thank you and stay safe.
And welcome back to Queer FM 101.9 FM CITR. We are your hosts,